Artists can be found in any stage of life, from finger painting in a classroom to performing for thousands of people. I'm here to share the experiences of artists who are somewhere in between. My first stop is my own hometown, Miami, Florida. It took growing up and moving away for me to understand all that the city has to offer an artist. The energy is endless and the diversity is unmatched. I was lucky enough to be in town during Art Basel, where people are encouraged to decorate the streets with their creations. Whether it's film, fashion, music, or murals, the people of Miami are always finding ways to express themselves and make their message heard. I met up with some friends and favorite creators of mine to talk about how the city feeds their creativity and what they've experienced as developing artists.
Also, Miami feels like very like awake to me, you know? It's like I wake up here and I come here and maybe there's a lot of traffic or there's people yelling and everything, but I'm like, oh, people are alive, you know? People are awake, you know? I don't mind the quiet part of town either. I don't mind little quiet places too, but I like how alive stuff is, and I like that things are moving and people are bustling and all that. It's cool.
Aside from that, you have art galleries all over Wynwood, photography, painting, drawing, sculptures, everything, so it's no matter what little strand of art that you do, you have that support and that network of people who are doing it professionally, people who this is their job, this is what they do for a living, and you can kind of connect with them and talk to them and learn from them. Especially, I think that's the biggest thing, is learning from people who are doing what you want to do.
Well, I can certainly go into things with more confidence, know that I'm going in with more people. I think I work better in a supporting role for other people rather than if it was just me, hi, I'm Jared Steingold. Whatever you need, I got you. Whatever you need, I do got you. But, I don't know. I like going into things, with a team of people and, helping everybody out and stuff like that. It makes me feel, a little bit more comfortable. I didn't go on stage, just by myself. I've got, 3 other guys with me, sort of a thing. And I think it gives more people confidence, too. It's oh, wow, look at, these 4 people that are all on the same page, that are extremely organized, it's very trustworthy, it's instead of take my word for it, it's take 4 of our words for it,
Vulnerability has always been something that I think most people, not including myself, tend to shy away from. So my lyric is very vulnerable, the manner in which I make the music is very vulnerable. So it's sometimes putting those songs up can be a bit too much,
That's a testament to how we can hold ourselves back as artists, is you kind of have to release things in order for your mind to be okay, dude, you're good. You can keep, making more projects. I think knowing that you hit this one checkpoint is giving you the okay to all right, you can keep writing, you can keep releasing stuff.
It was a little weird, bro, because that music was the last thing in my mind. I had given up on music, bro. I was not trying to make music anymore, and I just kind of got sucked back into it, And it was a little weird. I was damn, do I really want to do this? Do I want to expose myself like that, put myself out there as an artist? People are gonna think I'm corny, or I'm just kind of following the flow. I'm everyone else now, young Garzi, you feel me? But I didn't really care, bro. I was whoa, what's good, man? Everyone's doing something, If you're not doing something, then you're taking an L, bro. In this day and age, bro, everything's so easy to us. We can make ourselves whoever we want to be, if I felt like being a model, I could just make my artist page on Instagram, start taking nice pictures of myself, and boom, I'll blow up. You feel me? So that's just kind of the mindset I put with it. I didn't really care, bro. I was just doing me.
You get such positive feedback from people who appreciate your vulnerability, and you say, okay, cool, they like what I'm doing. And it's not that you're doing that for that sake, but it's also sort of a personal challenge for you too. Put that out, man. Take that step. Put that song out that you're too afraid to put out, and see what happens. And almost always when you take that leap of faith, especially if you believe in the music you're doing, it's received so well. So that's really what it is. It's just a matter of saying, yes, I'm scared. Yes, I don't know if people are going to like this song. Yes, this song is vulnerable. 100% the person that I wrote this song about knows I wrote this song about them. But let's just put it out and see what happens, you know?
Do what you love, and the people who are supposed to love it will love it. You know, and the people who are supposed to hate it will hate it. Either way, it's getting recognized.
Like you said, I'm a songwriter at like first before anything, and I wouldn't say greedy with the songs, but yeah, like I take them like as like prized possessions, and I don't know how that would really work in a band.
Just understand that in order for everything to work, you kind of got to let go like a little bit and have enough trust in your teammates to make it work, which is honestly why I think a lot of people are independent. They don't want to worry about that. You know, they're just like, when you're independent, what you say goes. Like, what I want to do is going to get done because it's just my responsibility. There's awful lot of people that are independent and they're solo artists, and they get a ton of stuff done because they just have utmost confidence in what they do. And also, they're just very good at it, you know? So they don't necessarily need, like, other people.
Someone else's opinion might be so much better than mine, and I appreciate that, and I encourage it. And it's the biggest thing is just knowing how to say it. You know, it's like, if let's say you're directing and I'm like, hey, do this, like, I'm going to be like, excuse you? It could be the best idea ever, but because of the way you said it, I'm not going to take it seriously.
That's like the synergy Aegon and I have, you know, like, he never bullshits, bro. He's real as fuck, bro. Like, he'll tell me if it's ass. He'll be as mean, like, he won't be mean, but like, you know, he'll be real, bro. Like, even if it's harsh, he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, that sucks though. Like, I don't want to do that. And I'm just like, all right, like, it is what it is. He's being honest. And I appreciate that. I need that, you know, because without that, then I'd be making boof.
30 people in my crew who read the story can watch what I'm doing and say, what if we do X? Or what if, you know, Y moves to A and does this, you know? And it's like, that input is something that I wouldn't have thought of. It's a different perspective. You have 30 different perspectives all looking at the same frame.
Yeah, I love to send my songs to different people and get different ideas and different takes and different elements put into it so that we can make it better. Because, you know, all our ears are, you know, like, we can only hear so much on ourselves, you feel me? Like, other people pick up different things, so I appreciate that and I value that. So I try to work with it and use it to my advantage for sure.
Yeah, you should go into it like about it and with confidence about it, and like that it makes you feel great and everything, because then that way people are like, oh, okay, he actually really does like this. It's not like, so guys, I got this, and like, if you don't like it, it's okay. You know, it's like, is it good? Like, yo, like, are you alright, man? Like, what's up? You need me to talk to you? Like, you know, you're gonna go in with something that's like an idea. Yeah, like, I won't be married to it like too much though, you know, because I know that they can probably add on to and make it different. That's the other thing. Like, you know, I work with 3 other guys that are going to also want to add their flair to it or make it a little bit better. If it was just me, everything would be Viking stuff everywhere. Like, it would just be, like, Viking band would be called, like, Yggdrasil, or so. We have, like, some Nordic name, and, like, it would all be metal. And, like, that gets me stoked just thinking about that, you know? But, like, it's not like that. Instead, I get to pass ideas to, like, 3 people, and my one thing is like one part of that. And to be honest with you, I think that, you know, having all those people, you can make something new.
When you're not making the music that your soul wants to make, you get bored. So eventually you start saying, wow, you know, I love this music, but I don't like producing it. I don't get anything from it. So initially I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, if I'm gonna make a SoundCloud page and I'm going to start making music, I am not going to make music for anybody other than myself. I don't care if anybody thinks it's cool or if it sounds good. That I could give a shit less.
I think when it's good enough to be, or for you to want to record it, that's when you kind of know you're heading down the right path, because it's really easy for things to kind of stay in demo land. And I love demo land, man. Like, it's like I can, you know, tweak as much as I want without like any like hesitation, and like it's like, but yeah, I think if you cross that point where you're like, dude, I like this how it is, and I want to make this like a real like tattoo of sorts, and I don't want to like, the song is like has a life of its own. I think that's when you kind of know, is when you want to record it like legitimately.
Like, when I'm in the booth or like I'm recording, bro, like, it'll take a couple tries because it's hard to get into that mindset, you feel me? Like, I'll just be like laughing or giggling, you know, it feels a little ridiculous sometimes, but then like I get serious about it and I really start like you know, messing with the music we're making. So like, yeah, I just kind of zap into it and get serious, and like I'm just confident. You know, that's honestly like the biggest thing, and like the biggest like advice I could give it to anyone is just be confident, bro.
Up to a certain degree, you can be critical of the music that you make, but eventually, when you make something that's worth putting out there, you have a duty to put it out there, regardless of your opinion about it. So you have, I think I read that in a book by Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art. He was like, you have no right to limit your creation. Your creation has a right to be out in the world. Like, who are you to tell yourself that your work isn't worth putting out? And that was a huge eye-opener for me. I was like, yeah, you're right, you know? Who cares, man? Who cares if people don't like it? If people like it, I'm making it because I think it's a cool song, because I resonate with the track. And I think there might be at least one person who might hear it and say, wow, you know, this song, I appreciate you for making this track, because I was going through the same experience emotionally, and it was because of your song that I was able to relate and sort of grow through it and move through it, you know?
When you're first starting a song, like you don't know if it's gonna be bad or if it's gonna be good, or like it's when the picture's like almost like done that you're just like, is that supposed to be there? Like, is this supposed to, you know, that's when you become like really like doubtful of yourself and of like what you're making. But yeah, all the time. I think everybody kind of struggles with that. And you know how it is, like final when you're in the finishing mixes and you're just like, oh, I want to change this so bad, and like you didn't want to change it like the night before or 2 nights before. That's just you second guessing yourself and knowing that like the idea that you start off with is never gonna be like exactly, is never gonna finish, like end up being exactly what you sought out for it to be at first.
Yeah, there have been times where I'm looking at something and I'm like, what was I thinking, you know? And this is kind of going back to my older stuff, like when I was still kind of developing my style and trying to, you know, kind of do my own stuff. Like I was like, what is this? You know, what was I thinking? And now it seems like all the things that I love most are things that are either very, very planned ahead, like, okay, you know, 6 months in advance, we're going to do this, like this, see this here, this like coming from here, this and that, whatever. And usually it comes out the way I'm picturing. And honestly, sometimes the best things that I've shot happen by accident.
I have gotten to that point where I just trust that what I make is worthwhile and that what I make is worth being heard.
I was making a jingle for my friend the other day, and like I stumbled upon an idea just because I was in like a jingle headspace, and I was like, no, I'm keeping this for myself. Like it's I don't know if there's no way to like know when you have it until you just have it. Like it's like they kind of sneak up on you more so than you like sneaking up on them.
Obviously, you can't, you know, life happens and you're not always in the best of moods, so I want to try to capture every aspect, every emotion, but like overall, I just want to send a positive message, bro. I just want everyone to be happy, be themselves, be confident, like see the possibility in themselves, bro.
I don't think you can get better at like crafting songs, but I do think you get better at like becoming a judge of yourself, like of your own work, and like anybody can get good song ideas. Anybody can kind of like, you know, just like record a little voice memo, but I think it's about like the execution of all things, and I think that's what you can, as a creative, you can get better at like knowing when you're like stumbling upon an idea and like how you're gonna take it, you know, across the finish line, which is like, you know, releasing it on for the public. And like I think that's where I'm at right now, is like knowing what to like, not knowing what to ask of myself, but yeah, like knowing how to like use all these like lessons that I've learned just from being a songwriter, and like knowing when I'm there approaching an idea or like releasing an idea.
I have these things that I want to say. I have to create something for me to be cathartic and express what I want to say or how I feel, and words weren't doing it. So I think naturally using music as a tool to sort of represent what's going on up here and in here was the next best thing.
It's the passion behind the voice, you know, like if I can really hear the pain or like the happiness, the excitement, or like whatever the message they're trying to portray, if I can like really hear it in their voice, like that immediately, like I'm involved.
You can do all these things well, but like what makes it you? Like, how do I know that it was you that did those things? I think that's what everybody kind of scrutinizes themselves on, you know? Like, you kind of know how to put everything together. Like, what you want to do in your job, like, you know the rules, like, you learn them all. But it's like a chef, right? They've got recipes, but, like, what do they do to let people know that, like, they're special? Because everybody wants to be special, and everybody wants to be told they're special and all that. So, like, how do you get people to care that it was you and not, like, a synth-based keyboard, you know, that, like, the producer just threw in there, you know?
Over time, I just kind of learned, you know, develop your own style. Develop something that people are a little bit, you know, they feel something. They could be weirded out. They could love it. They could hate it. But as long as it provokes some sort of emotion, I feel like I'm doing something right.
At the end of the day, man, I think that's what anybody wants, is to feel good and make other people feel good. And I get to do that every day. And that's pretty cool.
Spending time with the artists of Miami leaves me with a feeling that anything is achievable. The optimistic nature of the culture rubs off on anyone that makes themselves available to it. Though these artists don't know what the future holds for them, they continue to create, express, and grow, setting the bar high and being an example for others to do the same. Artists can be found in any stage of life, from finger painting in a classroom to performing for thousands of people. I'm here to share the experiences of artists who are somewhere in between.
Stilo. Wow. Look. Money is the motherfucking most.
My next stop is the hip-hop capital of the world, Atlanta, Georgia. As the home to many modern rap icons, the city has inspired a new generation of artists who look to music for an escape from their own struggle. The top priority of Atlanta artists is honesty. Capturing a moment when it happens, where it happens, comes naturally in a culture that encourages spontaneous creation. Breaking the rules by working too quickly to remember what the rules are is a type of informed naivety that has caused Atlanta artists to stand out among the rest. I talked to some locals and some fresh faces about how they interpret the city's influence and stay creative.
See, this Atlanta, so they ain't gonna tell you what you want to hear. See, like everybody in Atlanta, like we like Black Hollywood. So everybody's superstar. So if somebody compliment you on something you doing, oh, you better stick with it. Cause that's 9 times out of 10, they're the right thing to do. Because they complimented it. Cause it's rare that you get compliments down here because everybody's their own superstar. They don't care about what nobody else doing.
This is how they make music in Atlanta. It's spur of the moment, it's in the booth, and you're not trying to be perfect, you're trying to capture the true vibe of what was going on in the booth. And that is the priority over perfection.
Anybody that wants to be an artist has to hold some characteristics of being a perfectionist. So you have to be able to look not only at your artwork underneath a magnifying glass and say, I think that even though it looks great, and I have to, zoom in times 1,000 underneath a dang magnifying glass to, notice that this is wrong. You have to have that same kind of criticism when you look at yourself and hold true to, criticizing yourself. And even though when you do artwork, you're like, hey friends and everybody, can you guys, critique my work for me? You need to be the toughest critic of yourself if you want to be an artist or somebody in business.
I would compare this was probably like a year into like production. I would compare my mixes to like a Kanye CD and be like, yo, it's not good. It doesn't sound like the CD, so it's not good enough. And then I wouldn't put anything out because I was like, it's not as good as like the Kanye CD, so I'm not gonna put it out. And I think I said that to Malcolm, and he was like, yeah, but like that takes like a long time. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna happen like overnight. And like he has like 50 people working on a project, so like you by yourself making a beat with like, a little studio, like, basically the whole idea was, all right, be patient, you know what I'm saying? So
I seen a lot of folk get in the studio and their song don't sound like they wanted it to sound because of the simple fact they got in there and got nervous or something like I was a beginner, so when I first came out, my first voice wasn't my voice. I was just, I was nervous, so I was just in there. But once I got comfortable, couldn't tell me nothing. If I go, like, I ain't going to bed till I got my song memorized.
I have a stronger core of what I know is my sound. So I can now sort out from people's opinions, you're just not getting what I'm going for. And, oh, yes, you found a blind spot that I wasn't seeing.
Relying on someone's praises makes you a slave to their criticism. So it's like, if I'm like putting stuff out there hoping like, oh man, like I hope I'm gonna put this out and I'm gonna get so much love, and then I don't, or I do that one time and they're like, oh man, this is fucking awesome, yeah, and then I put something else out and I'm, you know what I'm saying, like then you're like, oh, am I gonna get that same love? And you don't. It can hurt you much more than if you just put it out for you. I finally got to a point where because I really didn't want to make music until I really liked my own work. You go through the rough phase, I like it, but it's mixed terribly. But like now I like my own stuff and I can listen to my music casually, and I always have like one song, like, oh man, this is my favorite one by me. Like I can listen to this as a fan. So like that's normally how I like kind of gauge, where it's like, okay, this one, I'm proud of this. Like this is probably going to be the one I listen to now.
So if you want to be your own self-critic and be productive, then you need to, set standards in place to make sure that you're making progress. You can't just, critique yourself and be like, this is terrible. You need to, have steps in place so that you can make sure that you're making progress in a certain amount of time. Because some people, they'll be like, I want to do this, but they don't give themselves a deadline. So they end up wasting a whole bunch of time. But if you have deadlines in place and you have standards and you want to reach those benchmarks in that certain amount of time, it's going to push you to, get better and improve. And if you're improving your weakest aspects, you're going to automatically become better.
I don't think you can really rush genuine progress. Like, genuine progress is on a timeline that it just will take that long. It's like some things just, they actually take as long as they actually take. There's no way to reduce them. Like, you can't speed it up. What you can do is not inhibit it. And the best way to do that is to chill out, be nice to yourself, and like let things evolve.
If I figured something out too much, it becomes boring, and it's like I can't do that anymore. Like if it's boring, like I just have to I either have to figure out how to make it not boring, or go to the next thing, and that's, I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? But it's also kind of switching gears a little bit. So like sometimes I'll get really into making beats, and I'll be like, wait, I gotta like do some web design, and then I'll get really into web design, and then I have to like figure out how to go back to making beats again.
The idea of quantity over quality, with the end goal being evolution, musical evolution, really works. And it's something that's completely missing from how they teach Western music. Because they teach you to be perfect and like all your ducks in a row. And it's like, no, like when you do quantity over quality, you are able to invent your own inspiration at any time. And you don't need to be inspired. You just sit down and you're like, all right, I'm just going to play the first thing that comes to my head. Oh, it's so shitty. Great. Finish it. Get it to a point where you can say it's a beat, and then you move on. And you do 5 of them every day. Then after a week, you have 35 things that you made. You won't even remember some of them that you made. You'll listen back and you'll be like, whoa, I was on some shit. Then you go back and you finish it.
It's just like when you get in that booth, don't nothing else matter but what you about to say. So it's like clear everything out. I don't care if you mad about something that happened at home. When you get in that studio, all that's gone. It's time to focus, crack down, So it's like you can't be in it. So like if I got 4 hours like in a session, I'm at least trying to get me 3 songs out of it. So I'm going there like clear-minded, only thinking about what I'm about to say on this track.
When I'm making my own art, I really try to create an experience either through like sound or or I haven't really mastered creating an experience through sound yet. I'm, just being real with myself. I feel like I'm almost there, but like I'm not really where I want to be. But I still love my music. But with video, I feel like I finally gotten close to that kind of equation that I want to put where it's like feeling real.
The best way to smooth out your own process is to go through the process hundreds and hundreds of times. Maybe the first, something I see with beginning videographers or somebody beginning in any field of work, the first few times they do something, they might waste a whole bunch of time because they're not that efficient yet or they don't know what they're doing. If you've done something 50 times, you can move through it pretty efficient. If you've gone through something 200 or 300 times, you can take every single shortcut, loophole. I'm not somebody that's really like narrow on stuff, that I'm like pinpointing stuff. I'm more of like a broad idea, so I can think of like stuff in broad, like a perspective that's really like broad and stuff. So I can think of like an overall ideal that's really abstract, but not so much should the girl's makeup be red or should the dress be red on this girl or stuff like that. Like that stuff I don't even worry about.
With making beats or like, those types of things, it's not like a sport or playing an instrument where you actually have to like have the muscle memory to do it. It's kind of more like if you kind of know how to think, you can kind of figure it out,
I think one of the most important things you need to have is if you want to be successful is problem solving skills. So if you're stuck in a current life situation and you can't figure out how to get past it, then you probably won't end up making it in the long run because the problems you have now are going to be much easier to solve than the problems you're going to have 10 years later if you're trying to run a $5 million company or $10 million company. So being resourceful, looking at being able to assess yourself as a person and see what weaknesses do I have, because a lot of people, they don't look back at themselves. They're like, man, why is all this stuff happening? Ain't nobody supporting me. Ain't nobody, investing in me. Ain't nobody doing this. Ain't nobody doing that. But you got to be able to look back at yourself and assess yourself and be like, what are my weaknesses? Maybe I'm not good at marketing. Maybe I'm not good at talking to people. Maybe my product is not good enough. So you got to be able to, really dive in, look at yourself, assess yourself, and do some problem solving. And that's what's going to, make sure that you never get stuck at a plateau throughout your career.
I learned to trust my taste in hearing potential and figuring out what ideas are good over my ability to just like spontaneously generate something great, right? So I'll work on something and like because I know how to use the software and stuff, I'll make a loop, but then I'll start fucking with it and warping with it. And then something strange happens and then I hear a new idea and then we go there. So it's like it definitely takes some time to like get these brain hacks going, but eventually you start to figure out how to like lose yourself in the process of it. And I don't mean on a mystical level. I mean literally like, oh, for a moment there I like wasn't analyzing what I was doing and then something cool happened.
Sometimes it's about like what you're going through at the moment. Like you might be going through breakup or family issues or problems in the street, so it's like if that beat just catch you on one of those problems, you're gonna pull for them problems.
A lot of the really, really, really good stuff I made whenever like we were down. Like money was low, situations were popping off. like everything around me was just chaotic and terrible, and I needed to find somewhere to kind of like zen out and put something out. Like normally those are really good. That's where really good projects are made. And then another one is when I'm just having a lot of fun. I
put my pain in it, like everything I've been through. If my mama's sick, I'm putting that in there, so you know what I'm going through. I'm not just some spoon-fed person. I really came from the bottom, so I want you to feel everything. I don't care where you from. Everywhere got a hood. Everybody, where you from, everybody ain't eating the same or, so I had it rough. I want you to know I had it rough, though. I ain't gonna hide it. I want you to know me.
You can always tell the people who still have dreams and the people who don't. And, like, you can't have a conversation with people who don't have dreams for too long because if you do, like, you just don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to think that way. Like, you could tell the people who gave up, And, like, you could tell people who are, like, still going for something. Like, who cares what it is? They're going for something. So, I think that's, like, super important. And, coming to a place like Atlanta that, like there's so many people who are good at what they do and that work so hard and are all going for a goal. It's just like in the air already. I have like really big goals, so I gotta be around other people who got really big goals, you know what I mean? Like I can't be around someone who just wants to like, you know, just hang out on the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta be around people who like want to do something.
I've looked out for people because we were people and we came together and tried to see each other's vision and like really built something. So that's more so in artistic endeavors and just in life in general. I really try to be around people who are like people, because a lot of people are profiles, like created profiles, or they only see you as what you can do for them at that moment.
Something that talented people are not doing correct is I think they don't have an understanding of business or even of how success works, because for the most part, success is preparation meeting opportunity, and either they have the talent but they haven't spent enough time, you know, preparing it. Because even though it's like no matter how talented you are, your talent's going to fail you, or somebody that's untalented is going to outwork you and pass you up in terms of skill, because talent does not equate to skill.
I think, which is interesting, because I like had to sit down with myself recently and like really evaluate, like, what are you trying to say, like in general, you know, in my music and stuff like that. I think I want to like, you can do it, your friends can do it, y'all can do it, it can be done. Like if we want to boil it down to the simplest, purest form of like everything I do, like you can do it.
Like you obviously have to fight to get to where you want to go, or like push to get to wherever you want to go, but not everyone is going to be doing that. Like that's why like 1 million kids can go to music school every year and like only like 10 kids are getting gigs every week, right? Is that only those 10 kids were the ones who like wanted to be like above average, you know? It's like anyone can go to Full Sail, but not everyone's going to come out and be like even like an employed engineer, just period, you know?
They ain't gonna make your money for you. So whatever you need to do to finally get comfortable, block them out. You gotta go get it. Like this like a job. So I gotta come in here prepared, ready to work. I can't come in here, you know, ready to get fired. I gotta come in here ready to get promoted. So I come in there with my, you know, self-esteem high. You know, I come in there ready to work. I don't care who in there. Ain't nothing but me and this mic when I get in there.
For me to feel like I'm successful, I think if you would have asked me a year ago, I'd probably say it might be 10 or 15 years before that I say that I'm successful. But I have this motto that I tell myself most days, and it's that I'm already successful, because most people, they chase a dream life, but if you are to achieve your dream life in this lifetime, that means you're living in your dream right now.
Right now, I would say my main goal is to just really be okay with who I am. Really embrace it, really get to know it, and really express it. As long as I achieve that, I'll be straight. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I end up fishing in some village somewhere, like as long as I am myself and I'm being completely true and honest, I'll be Gucci no matter what.
I don't really think I have a favorite role, to be honest. I'll like do some shit over here, like video editing, then that will kind of like, I'll kind of hear something, or like I'll listen to music and kind of hear something, like, oh, and then I'll come and record, and then, or like I also like do jackets and stuff, like I sew patches on jackets for other people and myself. So like sometimes if I'm like just kind of listening to a beat or listening to music or whatever, I'll like sew, and it's like therapeutic almost. So I really don't have like one place I feel at home. Art is where I feel at home. Creating in general is where I'm supposed to be.
The entrepreneurial attitude of Atlanta creators inspires me to live as big as I dream. After talking to these artists, success begins to feel attainable, a road to travel rather than a formula to solve. The next steps are always a risk, but their knowledge and awareness guides these artists as they reach to achieve their goals. Artists can be found in any stage of life, from finger painting in a classroom to performing for thousands of people. I'm here to share the experiences of artists who are somewhere in between. Before leaving the South, I went to Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. With decades of country music history, the new generation of residents are tasked with finding a new definition of Nashville culture. Eager to reinvent itself and defy its reputation, Nashville is home to thousands of transplants who find unity under the new Nashville movement. But not everyone finds their place in a city that plays by the rules. I sat down with some creators to get their view on living and creating in a culture that's still under construction.
I like Nashville. I like the culture here, for now anyway. It feels very hometown, even though it's very quickly becoming this actual true metropolis. It still feels, like a good old boy town kind of thing. The people, for the most part, are very friendly. It just has that southern charm kind of thing. However, I'm noticing that starting to change with all of the people coming from the East and West Coast and just all of the, major development that's happening here. So hopefully the little southern charm thing will stay.
I've had friends ask me since moving to Nashville, man, are all the musicians there just like crazy talented? Like, is everyone just like sick? And my answer is no. I think there's just a higher concentration in places like this because there's kind of this expectation that you can move here and your dreams will come true. But the people that are practical will tell you that it's a 5-year town and that you need to give yourself 5 years to make something happen. Because, like I stated earlier, you have to live some life, you have to make connections, all that stuff has to happen.
It's not always about networking up. Like, yes, do that, but they're like, network across too. Like, who are your friends and people in your community and like that are really doing it in what they do, and you guys, help each other and like kind of build this network, this supportive team and network. Yeah.
Nashville has a very friendly, collaborative environment where like you can possibly grab some coffee with someone, or we can do an interview like this where neither of us are really expecting that much in return from the other person. It's just sort of like, man, I think what you're doing is really cool. Like, I'll go to a show for one of my friends and I'll be like, wow, like, I love this music and I am like so like stoked that I'm in a city where I can go out on a Tuesday night and see this, and then the next day I can go do a photo shoot with like that same person and create images to help, promote their next show.
I've been blessed to be able to find those people here that have been able to pour into me and like genuinely want to help, but are also very knowledgeable about whatever it is that they do. So that's definitely been helpful to be able to reach out to those people and kind of form somewhat of a little mini independent team of people, that do these things, and I do what I do, and we help each other, and we sit together and kind of brainstorm, and I know I can trust and bounce ideas off of these people.
Yeah, and that's what's great about being in Nashville is everyone seems to be encouraging and uplifting, and like they really want to see you succeed. So we're in a good environment to be in a band and grow as artists and stuff. But whenever we do get criticism, and it's happened before, it's tough. It kind of shakes you a bit. You're definitely like, man, that stings. Something you're putting like all your time and you're putting your life into, and then someone will tear it down. It's not a good feeling. So, but I mean, always focus on the positives and just keep working through it. And no matter what anyone says, I mean, there's always room for improvement.
There's two sides to it, because am I going to be good enough for me is obviously the biggest one, but then like the little side thing is, am I going to be good enough for other people to want to hear what I'm so proud of. But I think obviously the biggest one right now is, am I good enough for what I want to be? Like, am I releasing something that I'm really proud of? And I think when that happens, you're definitely going to have a lot of people respond to that, because it's just complete honesty. And if you believe in it, other people are going to believe in it. So
I really do believe as long as you're making your own path, there's going to be room for you. Finding your market, finding your target audience, and playing to that, and delivering on your promises to those people, if that's your definition of success, then I think that there's room for everyone.
You know, being in Nashville, that's kind of, everybody's a musician, everybody's a songwriter. And there are a lot of people that may do what you do, like, way better, and that's okay. It's more about, like, figuring out what it is that you do well, you know, and not trying to be, you know, you may not have their exact career or anything like that, but finding your niche, which can sometimes be kind of hard.
We're trying to emulate these other bands and make music that's on par with that. And it's like in trying to emulate them and like kind of, it's in trying to emulate them that we sort of fail and create our own sound. If that makes any sense. Not that that's any better or worse, it's just different.
You always want to be able to take the sound that you hear in your head and where you see this vision going and put it into a project. Like, translate what's in your brain waves into sound waves. And that's kind of the biggest thing that I'm working towards right now, is just knowing exactly what tools I have and what tools I can use in order to bring out the sounds that are in my head when an artist sings me a song. And I go, oh, that'd be sick if it was like this. They don't really understand unless I can put it on there, you know? So that's a continual rise. But I feel like, you know, it's getting better every day.
Do what you do well, but it's less of like convincing everybody to like your music, which is kind of the thought process I had like early on, and now it's more like finding your niche and your market, people that are generally going to enjoy it, and then finding those people and getting the music with, you know, to them, versus like trying to convince like everybody to just, you know, not everybody's gonna rock with you or like your music, and that's fine, that's okay, but just find what it is that you do well, makes you unique as an artist, and then find the people that are gonna rock with you, and you kind of expand from there. That, you know, more of a different direction, I guess, how you kind of look at it.
This is a business, and it's a weird business because it's creative and it's subjective. It's not just like, oh, here's a product that works, you know, kind of thing. Like it really is just about opinions, and I think that's awesome. I'm not trying to be negative on the industry, but I like to keep a good group of like business people in different industries too, because if you only hang out with musicians, like, you kind of get groupthink, and it's important to have, you know, somebody who does see the world in a very rigid, structured way, whereas many creatives, especially myself, does not.
It is cutthroat. I don't think necessarily like in a mean way. It's just, you know, if your music's not good enough, or if it's not real and you know, and it's not super impactful, then it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna rise above the rest.
To me, that's always been what successful people do. They're like, if I believe in this, then of course I'm gonna do it. I guess the point being is that they don't believe that there's any reason that they shouldn't have exactly what they've set their goals to. Whereas, like, if you're spending all this time doubting and thinking, like, maybe not, you're not gonna reach that, because you're putting all these obstacles in front of you. And granted, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who say no, and a lot of people who say yes and then don't follow through, and a lot of people who say yes and then make that happen for you. But I think if you're putting yourself in that place of people who say no, then you're slowing down the path to getting to where you ultimately want to be.
That's one reason that I really got into photography, is it's sort of like almost a key, you know, into the doorways that you want to like get into. Photography has really like, it's allowed me and inspired me and compelled me to chase like amazing moments, and like through, whether that's through going to a place that I've never been before, or collaborating with an artist for music that they're working on. It's, I guess, yeah, that's what it comes back to. And I really relate to what you said about change, like experiencing new things. And like, that's what photography has done for me, is it's allowed me to kind of just squeeze the most out of life by like basically showing up with my camera and saying like, let's make something amazing, you know?
one goal that I have been doing over like the past 2 months now, I guess, is writing something every day, because I do love to write. And I normally do that in the morning, because if I wait until the afternoon after I've done my like actual work for the day, it's, you know, your brain is just tired and you want to sit down and like not do anything. So I find that it's better to do that in the morning. So I do that. And if that's like a melody that I'm working with, or if that's, you know, like a lyrical idea or a story that I kind of want to communicate, I kind of have like a list of those.
It's habit, right? So if you have the habit of sleeping in until 2 p.m. and then going to your restaurant job at 3 p.m. and working until midnight and then going home and doing the same thing over again, probably not much is going to happen, because you're not giving yourself the experience that you probably need. But if you habitually wake up early, you habitually take care of yourself, take care of your mind, take care of your body, take care of your relationships, your friendships, and are like a full functioning human being, having input from all different parts of your life, I think that talent is most likely to happen in those ways. But you need to know when to live and when to work and create. And I think that old cliche of like work-life balance is very true even for a creative.
What I love about the freelance life is the autonomy of like the lifestyle. Like, I am making all of my own choices and I'm only responsible to myself. And if I don't get out of bed in the morning to go work, that's on me. But I'm in this because I love doing it.
It just felt like a lot of relationships were unattainable because I was really shy. And so that connection for me was really important, and that's what has kept me coming back still. Like, even when I get really frustrated with making songs or songwriting sometimes, I think performing and being on stage is what really keeps me coming back.
There's nothing better than like coming home at the end of a long day and seeing just your Dropbox is updated with a new mix. I don't know, things like that. You know, just little things, like whenever we do like live sessions and stuff, like getting to see like our band kind of come to life, getting booked for shows. Like whenever we get thrown on a tour, we're just like, dude, did you see that we're going on tour? We're like, oh my God, it's gonna be so fun. Just, you know, little things like that. Playing like we've always been like a huge live band, so I think the thing that excites us the most is playing shows.
You know, we still are, our experiences are ours, and the way that we have experienced life is very unique to each of us. So as close as you and I may be one day, like, I can never see the world through your eyes kind of thing. And I think that, you know, what you were saying about, you know, being worried about how much people are thinking about you when really they aren't, you know, as much. I think that's so true. Easier said than done to, you know, kind of accept that. But I really don't think people care that much, you know. And even if they do care enough to say something like beyond that, I don't really think, with a few exceptions, I don't really think people are out to get you or anything like that.
Yeah, when people are hesitant to like, well, what if they say no? It's like, then they say no. But like, you're either going to be spending the next 4 hours or days like contemplating this. Do I do it? Do I don't? Do I not? Like, you might as well just do it.
No matter how good I think things sound, showing them to other people, or when I send off that mix or that demo to someone for them to hear, something that they're paying me for, it's like, man, I really hope they like it. Because it's not even like, my biggest fear really, like I said before, is like my reputation being not very good. And I'm lucky enough to work with some people that think the world of me, which has been great. But man, every time someone walks into this room to record something, I feel like I'm like, no matter how comfortable I am with my own stuff, like I feel like I'm faking it. Like I'm like, man, I hope I know where to take this track, especially if we're like writing and I'm building a track at the same time and I'm trying to like make this sound good and then come up with melodies and words too. But a lot of times you just kind of have to eat your fear and throw your ideas out there, because sometimes the best things can come from the worst ideas, or what you might classify in your mind as the worst idea. Like, I used to be really, really silent in co-writes and try to like write out my entire idea at first, but now I try to just speak out, like, what if the concept was this, and like if the next thought kind of went this way, not with these words, but something like this, and someone's like, oh man, like, that's super cool. What if we took that and twisted it in this way, and it comes in this way, and then you meld the two ideas together, and there's no more fear anymore. You're like, you feel like you succeeded at something.
I think a lot of people really fall in love with the idea of doing something, but don't necessarily love like actually doing it. And, you know, there's a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I want to be a musician. You know, musicians, you know, it's like, it's a cool thing to do. Like, if you're a guy, like, you're like, the girls are going to love me, like, you know, all that stuff. So being a musician is very romanticized in our culture, but like actually like making it work is gonna mean like playing some gigs that you didn't want to play, or like taking on some like photography projects that you don't want to do, so that you can like keep the dream alive, basically.
When I was first like figuring things out, I just met a lot of people who just were super unsure about everything, like didn't have any kind of passion that they were willing to say like, this is what I love. And not that that's a bad thing, because you need that kind of state of confusion for a little bit to try and weed out different things. But it was just, it turned out to be like super uninspiring, really. So now I definitely look for people who are following their passion and what they love, and, you know, they're spending their free time doing that because they love it.
Being in a band is really, it's almost like a marriage, you know. It takes commitment, it takes, you know, trust, and like all this, everything that a marriage would take. And it sounds funny, but you know, it's true. But I love that I get to share in all this stuff with like my best friends, you know. And I love that part of it. I don't know, and also getting to play music, you know, that's something I've loved since I was a kid, and getting to like kind of share my ideas and thoughts and like creative aspirations with, you know, people who come to our shows, or people who, you know, listen to us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. Kind of seeing that come to fruition has been really cool, and very, very grateful to be a part of the community I'm in and the band that I'm in, and you know, I couldn't ask for anything more.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Though it continues to expand and redefine itself, the people of Nashville make this city feel like home. These artists remind me that success can happen at the speed of light, softening the harsh demands of creative projects with an inviting culture. The road to success can be a lonely one, but the creators here have discovered that it doesn't have to be, inspiring unity among individuals to work harder and go further. Artists can be found in any stage of life, from finger painting in a classroom to performing for thousands of people. I'm here to share the experiences of artists who are somewhere in between.
But they got nothing to say.
The Big Apple, New York City, New York. Among the most recognizable sights, between the steel and concrete, is an artistic gravity. It attracts creative minds from around the world to its center, the hub of transportation, communication, and innovation. True New Yorkers live to be louder and larger than the bright lights, car horns, and sirens. With such divided attention, artists strive to stand tall and stand out. I talked to some artists about how New York has shaped their creativity.
In a position like this, like New York, there's everything here. So you're kind of forced to think about things for yourself right off the bat, you know? It's like here you have everything, like both sides of the spectrum. Like you're gonna see the most poor junkies in the world and the most wealthy men in the world, like the most passionate protesters and the worst cops. Like everything's here, and I think that that's important that everybody experiences everything, because that's real life. Like eventually you are gonna experience that. So if you do it you're learning it from a young age, you're forced to grow up a different way. So I think that that's a big reason why New York is important. And I bet that anybody from any urban area would have similar things to say.
Yeah, New York just has a lot of opportunity. It's a really great city for opportunity. It's a really great city to meet people. And it's also like just inspiring. Like you come here and you're just like, you're on survival mode. So you just gotta run and do your work all day. You know what I mean?
It's the day to day of like, you know, on like a regular day where it's like you wake up and you go in to get coffee and there's like, you have to like literally dodge cars and buses that if they hit you, you like die. And like, you know, someone can, you know, come up to you and take your wallet, or somebody can like walk up to you and like hand you like a free ice cream cone. And it's just like, you never know. It's just like the unpredictability and the chaos of it, I think.
You can rap in front of people if you're here. And if you're good, it's great that you can rap in front of people here. And if you're not, then it's a huge wake-up call, because they're gonna let you know that you're not.
I think it's an equal 50-50 between people who like New York City and don't like New York City, you know, and look, it does factor in a lot whether you go there to visit or whether it's been around you your whole life. You know, it does matter. You know, I put LA in such high praise, but like there's a bunch of people I know who live there who are just like, yeah, LA kind of sucks. I'm like, well, you know, I know why you're thinking that. Same reason why I hate New York.
If I'm going somewhere else completely different, I'm going to see something different that my mind hasn't seen before. I might see patterns that, you know, are native to that area, you know, and then I could bring that into my own stuff. I could see what I like about those things. I could see maybe there's something at home that I missed seeing because I'm so used to seeing it.
I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, is like writer's block, like mental block. Like, what do I write? What do I draw? What do I film? And I think that that's why change is so important. You know, like if I'm with the same group of people every day in the same apartment, we're gonna write the same song over and over again. And I think that makes sense. You know, you gotta chill with people older than you and chill with people younger than you and argue with people that don't have the same opinions as you.
I don't want to stop myself from getting better, so I won't get too comfortable with something. I'll try to, from project to project, bring something else in that's completely different from something that I've done, get myself uncomfortable, because I know that that uncomfortable range is where you learn. You can't be super comfortable in something because you're gonna be stagnant. You get to a point where you're not helping yourself anymore. You're hurting yourself by staying too much in your one zone.
If people keep coming back, then you're doing something right. I mean, that's simple as that. Like, if you're going a month and you don't hear back from, like, anybody to book more time in the studio or to book a music video or photo shoot or whatever it is, then there's probably a reason why they don't want to come back to you. It's either because you suck and they know it, or because you're, like, an asshole. Which, look, we all become assholes once in a while, but it's, you know, it's how you treat them.
When I first started, I loved working by myself because I got to like feel out what I was really thinking. But now where I am, I like collaborating more because I feel like I've grown so much as an artist and I want to hear people's suggestions. And I also feel like the more people, I want to be like a commercial artist. So I feel like the more people that are a part of the process of creating, the more it equates to whatever the world's feeling, right? So I like to bring in a lot of people, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm the executive on everything. Like I'm the one like, nah, I don't want that, or yes, I want that.
If you're looking for it, like if you're looking for that like quality in people like that, like fall into the norm type of person, you're gonna see it a lot more. And, you know, it's not like I have a problem being around it, but my team's not going to be those people.
Instead of saying, let me make this because it's marketable, you got to get in the mindset to be like, I'm going to make this and figure out how I'm going to market it properly. And I think that it's a lot of studying and reading and knowing what other people are doing in the field and aren't doing, and what is and isn't working personally and for other people. But you know, I'm the stubborn type. I definitely wouldn't conform just because I think it's marketable. You know, we do what we want to do, look at the product, decide who the marketplace is, and then execute the marketing plan. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta learn how to just be happy for people. You know what I mean? Like, not be angry or jealous that they're doing something that you want to do. You gotta, like, be happy for them, talk to them, like, on their process of how they did what they're doing, and, like, follow the same footsteps. Be their friend. You know, just surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, because eventually you will get there as well.
A lesson I've learned is, like, completely put everything on the table. And if you're an artist, put contracts on the table, and, you know, learn as much information as you can as like about your industry or whatever you're doing, because you might be missing out on a bunch of things that could have helped you in the long run, you know?
For me, I can learn during the process. I can learn after the process. The biggest help that I can get is getting another set of eyes on my project to see if, hey, be honest with me. I have no reservations. Go at it. Tell me what you see that's off. Tell me what you can see where it can be improved. If I'm watching somebody else's work, if I feel, the best word would be jealous, but it's not that kind of thing, but that feeling of, man, I wish I could have created that. I wish I could have done this shot. I could have done this lighting, anything of the sort. It'll fester in me to not be able to do it. I don't, you know, part of the reason why I do so many things is I don't like not being able to do something. It's a literal, it gives me a feeling where I feel almost incompetent. And I know there's always going to be a million things to learn, and I'm never going to stop learning things. But for the time being, that becomes the biggest thing for me. So I have to go about it.
If me, when I was 18, was sitting in a room and me at 23 appeared and was trying to tell 18-year-old me anything, I wouldn't have it. Like, no, you're wrong. I am such a stubborn man in everything that I do. It's my opinion, and then I go and do it, and then if I'm wrong, like, I find out after I'm done. Like, I've always been like that with, like, everything.
You know, again, as an artist, I think we all have a tendency to just shove our work down people's throats just to get feedback. You know, I think we all somewhat like attention. You know, or else why would we, you know, we do this for ourselves also, but we also just love the positive feedback. So it's like, you know, and a lot of people, they'll just be like, yeah, this is awesome, and they'll say it to everything that you do. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. They're friends. I don't often go to friends with that kind of stuff. What I like to do a lot is I'll get new clients in here, and, like, you know, while something's loading up, or like we're waiting on something, or we're getting like a lunch break, I'll just play something and, like, see how they react to it. You know what I mean? And, like, most of the time it's pretty good, which is good. If I get no reaction, I'm just like, all right, well, that's cool too. But, you know, I guess that's just pretty much the best way for me to do it. But, you know, just put it out on the internet, see what people think.
I work a lot by myself. So I'll, like, record by myself and make music by myself, and then I'll give it to somebody to listen to. And then that's when the hesitation will come in, on their reaction. And I've learned not to be like that anymore too, like, not to, like, let other people sway what I feel with my music, because everybody's not gonna like what you do. And you, like, the best art is the art that a lot of people don't like at the same time too, right? So I've learned to just believe in just, like, yo, don't worry about what other people think. This person probably just isn't a fan of this moment of you, you know? Like, keep making. Like, that's the biggest thing. Just keep creating. You never know what you're gonna hit, you know? I always think, like, you'll have 100 failures, and then the 101 is gonna be the one that hit, you know? So just keep creating.
We're making very outlandish music all the time, so I think that that's always a huge question in our minds, like, how is this going to be received? But I think that's a big part of like the fun behind it. It'd be shitty if we were making something that we knew was going to be received well every time. Like when we find something that works, we don't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know, we add it to the roster. You know?
worrying about other people's like successes and lanes is a big issue because it stops the flow of however your success is supposed to go, and I don't like to think you're wasting time, but you're like pushing back the universe from working with you because you're so like concerned about somebody else's like success or whatever that is.
I think a major part of being a creative person and just outputting things is you have to challenge yourself. You have to not accept what you've done as your median, your average, you know, your base level. Don't accept that. You always have to keep, you know, pushing past that. There's always going to be something else there. There's no matter what you're doing, at the end of the day, you're going to be able to grow from something. You can do something a million times over, and then you're still going to learn something, as long as you have that mindset of wanting to learn something.
I'll be in here one day and I'll finish a new song and I'll be like, damn, that was cool. Like, you know, like this is way better than the last thing I did. Then that new song on the radio comes on and I'm just like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it happens all the time. And like, that's what makes me want to just get back in the studio and just try something again.
So it's like you think of the end goal, but then you also think of like, what is the next thing that I can do to get me closer to it? So it's kind of a combination of working backwards and forwards. It's kind of like to get to this point backwards, what do I have to do forwards?
I know that change is like this big scary thing in some people's world, you know, it's this like unknown path. Like, why would you want to take a road that you don't know if it's going to work or not? Like, but I think that it just depends on the person. Like, some people don't want to take that road. Some people want the stability and comfort, but I was never built for that personally. Like, I needed to do something different.
Half of this industry, if not more than half, is it's who you know, it's who you meet, how you interact with people, and like, you want to surround yourself with people who are doing bigger and better things than you. You do, you know what I mean? Because it's like, if you're the best in your group, then there's something wrong with your group. There is. That means they're all trying to get where you're at, and you're not happy with where you're at. So it's like, you're all just a big bowl of nothing.
You know, I've always had a problem with working for other people, which I think has something to do with it. And it's like, when in a situation like that, like you're working for someone else and the food on your table is dependent on them, and that's crazy.
You know, you can look up to as many people as you want, but you're not going to do anything with that unless you fully set out to go about it. So I can learn from anybody, be it somebody that's also a creative or somebody that's not a creative. If I see something that, you know, Joe Schmo on the street did, and I'm just like, I like that. I want to integrate that to myself. I don't ever feel like you stop growing or you stop the process, because that process is ever going. You just have certain milestones that you go about as reference points.
I don't know that we look at anyone who and then be like, their path worked, so we're gonna do it. It's just kind of like, we know what has to happen to get to certain milestones, and it's just like, it's, you know, like you were saying, you know what to tell someone else about what they're doing, and it's like, if you know what to tell someone else, you know what you have to do too. It's different when it's you, but you still know what it is, and it's just about getting over the initial feeling of like, oh, this is like scary, do I want to do this? Like, and people think that subconsciously.
We know we want to be here, and we don't know how to get there, and we're just in this process of carving our way and learning what's best for us and which directions we're going to take. And I think that we're always going to run into dead ends doing that. And when we run into dead ends, it's a beautiful thing, because we know not to fucking go that way. I would argue with anyone that I'm living the dream right now, because this is exactly what I wanted to do. You know, like right now we're trying to get our feet through the door and all this shit, and it's a constant hustle and platform construction, and I can name 100 different words for it. But at the end of the day, I'm doing what I wanted to do. I'm doing what I love doing. I would never be able to complain about what I'm doing.
I don't try to force myself with a title or tell myself this is who I am. I mean, the only time I have to do that is for like a bio or whatever. But even then, I don't let my bio define me. I feel like just letting myself be present in whatever I'm feeling I am today is what I do. So like, if I'm performance today, I'm gonna be performance today. If I just wanna be a hermit and rap in my room, I'm that today, you know? But at the root, I know what the foundation is an artist. Like, that's straight up. Like, I'm a creator, I'm an artist. And if it means I'm doing graphic design today, or if I'm rapping 3,000 bars at some party, you know, that's who I am.
New York will always be larger than life. Living a creative lifestyle at the cross-section of the whole world takes a courage and dedication not found in many. The extreme nature of this city works to filter out those who won't make the cut, but the artists here are no stranger to the uglier side of life. It doesn't discourage them from expressing themselves. Instead, it's the fuel that drives them to make their dreams into a reality.
Another product of decomposing and overdosing, and a product of closing myself out as a way of coping. Chosen devoting my life to rhythm and motion. My craft is a form of art, to run away or find a home in. I escape for a moment, break with my headphones in, leaving my current setting might result in me hoping. Even though it's upsetting, there ain't no miracles growing. We knowing that there's something pushing, it's that drive that keeps us going.